What's good, everybody? I'm Keandre, this is Intellect, and welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video we have something a little bit different. We are doing a Q&A, basically covering everything from the draft to basketball, other personal questions, just things that will help me get to interact with y'all. I feel like I don't get to do that enough, and get to know me and what direction the channel is going in in the future. I asked the YouTube community page, Twitter, I got a couple of Instagram DMs, of questions for this video, so we will go ahead and answer those. Before we get into that, I have a few announcements. Now be prepared for the scouting videos to ramp up over the next couple weeks, and a few choice NBA videos will be thrown in there too. Something like the LaMelo Ball film study or other NBA ideas that I have, I will be sparingly uploading in there as well. And I'm also going to start up my own podcast soon. That's been something that's been really in the works for a long time. I can't give you an exact date, but be on the lookout for that. I'm going to have cameos from other people in the community, player interviews, and what I think will be a great mix of entertainment and information in hoop talk, so definitely be ready for that. And lastly, be on the lookout for something really dope coming out in about the next week or so, possibly involving me actually playing the game I talk so much about.
During the regular season, and I think that
But without further delay, let's go ahead and get straight into the Q&A. Now this first question comes from my guy Zay at Nazay22 on Twitter. He says, when are you and Robel collabing? Now if you don't know who Robel is, that is at Robel Tussin on Twitter. His YouTube page is Sub Me and Coach. Got like 5K subscribers. Definitely go check his stuff out. But to answer your question, I don't know. When you're dealing with Toronto stars of that caliber, the little guys like us, there's not enough time in the day,
But man don't care about all that right now, bro.
But nah, in all seriousness, probably sometime soon, on the pod or whenever. Definitely want to make that happen. This next question comes from at Liam O'Shea 33 on Twitter. He says, anyone you like to collab with on YouTube? That's a really good question. I think, there's a lot of YouTube NBA commentary channels and things like that. I would kind of want to go in a different direction. The main two that come to my head first are Dev in the Lab. If you watch anything basketball related on YouTube, you probably know who he is. Definitely one of the best content creators in the basketball space by far. One of the OGs of the game. I think it'd be really dope to talk to him, chop it up about basketball. He's a really dope trainer as well, so that's definitely on the top of my list. And then the second one is PJF Performance. I think he is one of the smartest people in the strength and conditioning space, especially when it comes to basketball. He's got a basketball background, knowledgeable about the game, definitely knowledgeable about the body, and that kind of stuff. I think it'd be really dope to talk to him, and in whatever form I think it would be dope. And the second question is, are you interested in a career in hoops? And to that I say definitely. That's what I put in all this work for. That's what you sacrifice the time, put in all this effort to do things that you like doing, whether that's in the YouTube space, somewhere else, coaching, training, who knows. But I got all my options open and definitely want to pursue things in basketball. Appreciate the questions. This next question comes from at goated_5 on Twitter. He says, what do you plan on doing in the future career wise, and how long are you going to keep doing YouTube videos? Seriously. Now it's kind of related to what I just answered, but definitely as long as possible. It'd be ideal to be able to grow this as big as we can, maybe branch off into a couple other different channels just to organize things. But for sure, want to take this as far as possible. If there's other job opportunities that make sense for me, I may end up taking them, but this is definitely a priority for me, at least at the moment. His second question is, who are your favorite music artists / favorite genres? And to that I say we could spend 2 hours on a podcast talking about this, just for my personal music interest. But genre-wise, you gotta keep it hip-hop and R&B. That's just where my personal genres kind of reside. And then artist perspective, gotta go with J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake. Can't go wrong with them. Then you've got guys like Larry June, Nipsey Hussle, Mac Miller, Dom Kennedy, Currency, Wiz, Smino. The list goes on and on. I know I'm forgetting some people who I really listen to a whole lot. Go in a different lane, got People like Lupe Fiasco, Styles P is one of my favorite rappers. But yeah, I could talk about that all day. Then on the R&B side, Buddy, Kent Jams, Sir had one of the best albums of the last 10 years probably. And obviously you have all the 90s and 2000s stuff that never gets old. But yeah, that's pretty much a sneak peek into what I like to listen to a lot. Can't forget all the producers. Producers gotta get their shout outs. I'm talking Cardo, never misses. Pierre Bourne, obviously. Pharrell and the Neptunes influenced me a whole bunch, not just music wise, style wise, and everything. But yeah, that's just to name a few. And his last question is, who are your top 10 all-time greatest NBA players? And that is another really broad topic that I can make a whole video about. But as long as the top two has the two 23s in it, Jordan and LeBron, then we're good. So I'm gonna just keep it at that. Appreciate the question. This next question is from AMA or AMA on YouTube. They say, if not for YouTube, where would you see yourself? Now, I never really planned on YouTube getting to this level where I would actually have people like actually responding and asking me questions. And YouTube still isn't really my career, I would say. But if it wasn't for doing YouTube right now, I'd probably be doing something else in content creation, definitely in basketball somewhere else. Appreciate the question from you too. Now we'll transition a little bit into more draft and basketball oriented questions. At Cozy Lido on Twitter asks, who are the most influential draft analysts that have helped you understand the draft and have informed your scouting philosophy the most? What do you consider the most important tenets of your philosophy? Now, this is a very intellectual question.
You smart. You a genius.
To simplify it a little bit, I wouldn't say that there's any one particular person or service or site or anything like that. I would say that it's just kind of been a combination of things. I obviously love basketball way before I really cared about the ins and outs in the NBA draft, but sparking my interest, you got guys like Chad Ford back in the day, definitely the big guys from Draft Express. I think that's influenced most of the people who watch these videos. Then obviously the people like Sam Vecini at The Athletic, Jonathan Wasserman. Just a whole combination of things sparked my interest and made me start writing a lot of stuff about 2-3 years ago. A lot of you don't know that I actually took those years and kind of shaped and built my stuff and my abilities over that time, and then I was able to make Hoop Intellect and do the draft videos like that you guys all know me for. But yeah, it's just kind of been a combination of things, taking my own basketball experience and scouting reports that I have from different coaches and their approaches to the game, and then just kind of applying it all at once. I would say one person who I really liked their particular scouting reports, Spencer Perlman, I think, Stepien. I really liked how detailed his stuff was. Definitely was something I wanted to try to, add just a little piece of that to what I did. And in terms of philosophy, it is a whole another thing. I haven't really sat down and been like, these are the pillars of what I do. But I think consistency, watching as much film as possible, having conversations, making sure you have a background that is solid in terms of basketball. And then from there, context is always important. That's a really big thing. Watch interviews, listen to the coaches. What kind of sets do they run? What do they do in late games? Like, why is he getting the ball here? Why are things going this way? Just picking up on little bits and pieces that you wouldn't necessarily see straight up in the film. That's a big thing that I like to do. Appreciate the question. This next question comes from Jaden Berger on YouTube. He says, what are your thoughts about how teams should consider seniors or older players during the draft process? Should they let them fall because age is a concern, or does it not matter at all? Now, to answer this, kind of like I already just talked about in the last question, context always matters. So depending on the particular prospect, there could be a number of different things. It's always going to be a case-by-case basis. You've got different guys. You got a guy like Buddy Hield, even Cam Johnson, some of the older players that we saw come through the draft being more successful. If all things are equal, you got a 19-year-old and a 23-year-old. Obviously, making that transition into the NBA is always going to be a steep curve, no matter if you're an international player or you're Kobe Bryant. 17, comes straight into the league. That curve is always going to be there. So if all things are equal, you would definitely side with the 19-year-old. But that's not something that you usually have to weigh against. It's going to be a different case each time based on the team situation, based on what they need, they might go with an older player who has a little bit more experience in this role, or another team might go with a young guy just because they have the developmental pieces in place and that's what they feel like they need for their organization. You can't just say we're not going to draft anyone 21 or older, because you're going to miss out on a lot of great prospects in the process, because everybody progresses and develops at different rates. I definitely appreciate the question, Jaden. It is from Chaotic Neutral. He says, is there any player you weren't high on that's currently proving you wrong in the NBA? Now, one from the past, I would say, is Tyler Hero. Not that I didn't think he was a first rounder. I had him ranked somewhere in the top 20, 18, 19, somewhere in there, I think. He's just been a lot better than I thought, especially early on in his career. And then from last year, I would say Emmanuel Quickly. I did think there was a big log jam in that 25 to 40-ish range, but I definitely should have had Emmanuel Quickly higher, and also should have seen it coming. It's a guy who was a much different player in high school. Definitely a lot closer to what we see now than when he was at Kentucky, where in that role he was pretty much just late career Ray Allen in terms of player archetype. Yeah, he's somebody who has definitely far exceeded expectations so far early on in his career. This next one comes from Benjamin on YouTube. He says, who do you think is the best international prospect in the 21 class? Now, that is true what you said about Garuba, but I think this international crop is, it's okay. It's okay. It's not Luka or anything, but you got guys like Garuba, like you mentioned. Josh Giddey has looked great over the last month. That'd probably be my pick for best international player at the moment. Roko Prkachin, Alperen Sengun. Those guys are really solid prospects. And, while they doesn't have the big-time international guys, it does have some solid picks. So, yeah, appreciate the question, and I appreciate all my people out in Brazil and internationally watching these videos. These next couple questions come from Michael, someone who comments all the time on my videos. Appreciate the support. He says, how big of an issue do you think Jalen Johnson's intangibles are? I'm never one to comment on those type of things from this much distance. If I had some information in his situation specifically, I would talk about it. But from the outside looking in, we really can't tell that much. Now, when you leave IMG and that whole type of thing in high school, it gives you pause, but I don't think it's that much of an issue. And the Duke thing definitely isn't that much of an issue. I wouldn't put any of that type of stuff on him from the outside looking in until he showed me that certain things could be a problem. And the second question he had is, who do you think is the most athletic guy in the 2021 class? The most athletic, I would probably say Jalen Green. Off top. Tavion Kinsey's going back to Marshall, so he's not in there. Keon's definitely at the top of the list. Jalen Suggs is definitely at the top of the list in terms of all-around athlete. Then you've got guys like Davion Mitchell, Deuce McBride, Benedict Mathurin, who, all have arguments, and those are, just some of the few that I can think of off top. And what is probably the last question in this video, Ian, I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up, McKinnis says, best shot creators in this year's draft. I would probably go with Jalen Green to start. Cade Cunningham's a dark horse. I'm assuming you're talking about like individual, not like playmaker for others. Zaire Williams has a lot of potential. Obviously, James Bouknight, Davion Mitchell, Josh Christopher. Cam Thomas is always going to find a way to get a shot up. And then the man of the hour, Johnny Juzang, even though they lost, put on an absolute show in the tournament, earned my respect, easily one of the best shot creators, either in this draft or possibly in the next one. But that is going to do it for this video. I definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with me in the channel, and I think we're going in a really good direction in the future. So I want to do this again, probably more draft related the next time, or maybe y'all want to hear some more stuff about me, just comment down below. And yeah, be on the lookout for the new big board coming in the next couple days, and Evan Mobley's scouting report in the next couple days as well. I'm Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and I'm out.